Watney Connection. One fan theory suggests Project Hail Mary secretly takes place in the same universe as The Martian. In the 2026 film adaptation, Ryland Grace mentions his ex-girlfriend left him for a guy named Mark. The theory, popularized by the TV Tropes fan community, connects this Mark to Mark Watney, the protagonist of The Martian, who becomes world famous for surviving alone on Mars. Both stories are written by Andy Weir and feature similar survival science themes, making the connection feel plausible. In the novel, Grace mentions having had a past girlfriend, though no specific name or timing details are given in the book. The film's addition of the name Mark appears deliberate, potentially serving as an Easter egg for fans. Rocky, Grace's alien friend, would theoretically hate Mark Watney on principle for hurting Grace, according to fan interpretations. Neither Weir nor the filmmakers have confirmed the universes are connected, leaving this as pure speculation. This theory remains unproven, but the deliberate inclusion of the name in the film gives it enough credibility to be considered possible rather than completely fabricated. Grace's orientation. A popular character interpretation theory suggests Ryland Grace is aromantic and asexual. The theory originated on TV Tropes after the book's 2021 publication and gained significant traction in fan communities. Grace had only one girlfriend for several months just out of college, which the book describes as inevitably ending. Throughout flashbacks spanning several years, Grace shows no romantic or sexual interest in any characters despite being an able-bodied man in his late 30s. Other team members have sexual relationships highlighted in the narrative, but Grace's relationships remain purely professional. When begging Eva Stratt not to send him on the mission intended to end his life, Grace never mentions wanting to marry or have children. After 16 years living on Erid, Grace shows no distress about never seeing, touching, or being with another human, romantically. His primary relationships are platonic friendship with Rocky and teaching Eridian students. This interpretation remains unconfirmed by Weir, but the evidence from Grace's behavior patterns throughout the story makes it a reasonable possibility. The theory adds depth to Grace's character decisions and explains why he seems uniquely suited to his ultimate fate of permanent isolation on an alien world. Shell colors. A heartwarming theory suggests the colorful Eridian children Grace teaches deliberately painted their shells for his benefit. At the end of both the book and film, Grace teaches Eridian children who display rainbow-bright shell colors ranging across the visible spectrum. Eridians cannot perceive the electromagnetic spectrum or see colors through their echolocation-based senses. Rocky used a camera device that translates light frequencies into textured displays that Eridians can scan with echolocation. The theory, which originated on the TV Tropes Wild Mass Guessing page, speculates that the children painted their shells in different colors specifically so Grace could tell them apart visually. The children could verify the colors using the same camera technology Rocky introduced during his mission. The theory proposes that Eridians never used cameras to sense their local environment before Rocky's Hail Mary mission, as these devices were originally invented as astronomical sensors. Weir never explains why the children are different colors in the source material, leaving this interpretation entirely to fans. This theory remains unproven but emotionally resonant, as it would demonstrate cross-species empathy and the children's desire to accommodate their alien teacher's visual perception. Stratt's successor. Some fans theorize Eva Stratt was secretly grooming Ryland Grace to replace her as Project Hail Mary director. The theory suggests Stratt prepared Grace as a contingency successor given her precarious political position. Stratt has absolute global authority granted by the United Nations to save Earth, but her ruthless methods make numerous enemies. The theory notes it's surprising no one tried to remove Stratt from power, given her propensity for stepping on people's toes. Grace becomes intimately familiar with every aspect of Project Hail Mary through his deep involvement in the mission. Grace trains all the mission specialists before the launch and is present for major decisions with access to all mission information. In the 2026 film's ending scene, Stratt has been imprisoned, revealed by a tattoo showing a V with a line through it, meaning life without parole. The film's directors confirmed Stratt was dragged before a criminal court after the Hail Mary departed Earth. Grace's comprehensive knowledge of every mission aspect would make him uniquely qualified to continue the project if Stratt was forcibly removed. This theory remains speculation, but Stratt's awareness that her authority would end after launch makes preparing an institutional knowledge keeper strategically sound. The film's addition of Stratt's imprisonment scene, which wasn't in the original novel, adds weight to this previously unconfirmed theory. Shared environment. Despite their biological incompatibility, one theory proposes humans and Eridians could actually share a room together with proper engineering. Humans breathe oxygen-rich atmosphere at Earth pressure and temperature, while Eridians live in 2G gravity with high-pressure ammonia atmosphere reaching 205 degrees Celsius. Grace's initial reaction in the novel establishes that he and Rocky cannot safely coexist in the same environment without protection. The theory, posted on TV Trope's Wild Mass Guessing page, proposes using inert gas like nitrogen or argon as a compromise atmosphere that wouldn't harm either species. Both species could theoretically wear specialized environmental suits in this neutral chamber. A temperature-controlled chamber could maintain a survivable middle ground between human and Eridian requirements. The novel shows them cooperating through connected airlocks on their respective ships, with a bridge system allowing passage between the Hail Mary and Blip A using safety protocols. The film depicts Grace and Rocky working side by side, always separated by transparent barriers or through their airlock connection. This theory remains untested in the story but represents an engineering thought experiment about overcoming biological barriers. While technically possible with sufficient technology, it would be impractical compared to their actual airlock solution, which works perfectly well for their collaboration needs. Timeline coincidence. Grace and Rocky both puzzle over an improbable coincidence that actually appears in the novel itself. Both civilizations achieved interstellar travel capability within the same narrow time frame, which seems statistically impossible. The Eridians have been space-capable for decades by the time they launched their Tau Ceti mission. Given the vastness of space and the rapidity of technological development, the timing seems impossibly convenient for two species to meet. The historical example of Spanish conquistadors versus Aztec civilization shows what happens when civilizations with massive technological disparities meet. Scaled to a galactic level, species could easily be separated by millions of years of development. The in-novel explanation suggests both species were just barely capable of solving the astrophage threat, neither civilization being advanced enough to trivially defeat it. If humans were 100 years more advanced, they could handle astrophage easily without requiring an interstellar mission. The astrophage crisis itself might serve as a selection mechanism, meaning only similarly developed species would notice Tau Ceti's resistance simultaneously and launch desperate missions. Both species detected the Tau Ceti anomaly and launched last-chance missions at roughly the same time. The theory suggests an anthropic principle application where we only observe this scenario because both species happen to be at the correct development stage. This unusual theory is partially canonical since the characters themselves discuss the puzzle in the text, though they never reach a definitive conclusion. By the way, if you're enjoying this type of content, I create videos like this regularly. Subscribing would really help me out. Grace's return. The novel's ending leaves deliberately ambiguous whether Grace will ever return to Earth, sparking ongoing debate among fans. The book ends with Grace living on Erid, teaching Eridian children in a comfortable habitat. Rocky tells Grace that Earth's sun has returned to its original luminance, confirming their mission succeeded. Grace knows humanity survived on Earth and the crisis has been resolved. The book's final sentence states Grace contemplates going home before returning to his teaching duties. The Hail Mary has been repaired by the Eridians and presumably could make the return journey across light years. The journey would take 4 years or more at relativistic speeds using the same coma-inducing technology. Grace would be gone from Earth for roughly 12 to 14 years total by the time he returned home. Grace's life on Erid appears genuinely comfortable, with Eridians providing synthesized food and an Earth-like habitat dome. Grace remains close to Rocky, his best friend, who stays on Erid. Grace shows no romantic attachments on Earth throughout the story, and his family situation remains unclear. The film ending shows Grace appearing happy teaching, with his robot arm Armando, an artificial beach, and Earth atmosphere dome provided by grateful Eridians. The return journey would be medically dangerous using the same coma system that killed his crewmates. Some fans theorize Grace has already decided to stay permanently, while others believe his contemplation suggests eventual return. Weir deliberately left this unresolved, creating perfect theory material where both interpretations remain equally valid possibilities. Wikipedia Gift. A detail cut from the film reveals the hilariously comprehensive gift Grace left Rocky before their separation. In the novel, Grace gives Rocky a laptop computer containing a complete copy of Wikipedia with all its articles and information. Rocky calls this the greatest gift in the history of his people, recognizing its immense value. The laptop contains centuries of human technology, science, history, and cultural knowledge compiled in one accessible database. The film shows the laptop exchange between the two friends but cuts the specific revelation about its contents. Rocky will theoretically learn about the relativistic physics that humanity mastered, which Eridian civilization never discovered. Rocky will also gain access to Wikipedia pages covering McDonald's urban legends, toilet paper orientation debates, and celebrity gossip alongside serious scientific knowledge. Comicbook.com highlighted this detail as notably missing from the 2026 film adaptation, Eridians will gain a complete and sometimes bewildering picture of human civilization through this gift. Rocky could theoretically teach other Eridians about human culture using the Wikipedia database as his primary reference. This remains partially canon since the gift is confirmed in the book, but theories about the long-term implications are pure speculation. Imagine aliens learning about humanity through Wikipedia, encountering quantum physics articles right alongside Pokemon conspiracy theories and internet memes. The theory explores how this gift would shape Eridian understanding of humanity, showing both our profound knowledge and our bizarre cultural priorities. Rocky's survival. A compelling theory suggests Rocky's survival at Tau Ceti wasn't entirely accidental, but the result of unconscious self-preservation instincts. In the novel, Rocky is the only survivor of his 24-person crew because he happened to be working near the astrophage storage area, which provided radiation shielding. The theory, discussed in fan communities, proposes that Rocky's species may have evolved subtle awareness of radiation danger, despite never scientifically discovering it. Eridians live in an environment with extremely dense atmosphere and strong magnetic fields that naturally shield them from radiation on their home planet. The theory suggests Rocky may have instinctively positioned himself near the astrophage storage without consciously understanding why, similar to how some Earth animals can sense impending earthquakes. This would explain the seemingly fortunate coincidence of the ship's engineer being in the one safe location during the fatal radiation exposure. Rocky mentions he spent 46 Earth years alone at Tau Ceti, yet maintained hope and continued trying to solve the problem despite having no scientific training for the task. The theory adds that this determination and optimism, combined with his fortuitous survival, suggests Eridians may possess survival instincts humans don't fully understand. While the book presents Rocky's survival as pure luck, fans note that evolution rarely works through mere coincidence. This theory remains unconfirmed speculation, but it offers an intriguing alternative explanation for how Rocky became the sole survivor positioned to meet Grace. Taumoeba Evolution. An unsettling theory proposes the Taumoeba's rapid evolution wasn't entirely natural, but potentially influenced by intelligent design from an unknown source. In the novel, Grace and Rocky breed Taumoeba to survive in both Earth and Eridian conditions. But during Grace's return journey, the organisms evolve the ability to penetrate xenonite containers. This evolution happens remarkably fast, within weeks rather than the millennia typical for such adaptations. The theory, originating from online discussion forums, suggests the Taumoeba may possess accelerated evolutionary capabilities that hint at artificial origins. Planet Adrian, where Taumoeba naturally exists, maintains a perfect ecological balance with astrophage that seems almost too precise to be coincidental. The theory speculates that an ancient intelligence may have engineered both astrophage and Taumoeba as a galactic regulatory system, ensuring no star system loses too much energy. Grace notes that Taumoeba exists specifically in Adrian's atmosphere at the exact altitude where astrophage congregates, suggesting a designed predator-prey relationship. When Grace accidentally breeds xenonite-resistant Taumoeba, he may have unlocked a dormant capability, rather than creating a new mutation. The theory proposes this hidden potential exists as a safeguard, allowing Taumoeba to adapt to any container civilization might use. While Weir presents this as fortunate evolution, fans question whether such rapid, specific adaptation could occur naturally. This theory remains pure speculation with no textual support, but it raises intriguing questions about the origins of both organisms in the story's universe. Stratt's redemption. A theory suggests Eva Stratt's imprisonment and subsequent escape represent an untold redemption arc that parallels Grace's journey. The 2026 film reveals, through a tattoo, that Stratt was sentenced to life in prison without parole, but later escaped. The theory, discussed among fans after the film's release, proposes that Stratt spent years in prison being vilified as humanity's villain for her ruthless methods, only to be vindicated when Grace's beetles arrive with the Taumoeba solution. The final scene shows Stratt receiving Grace's transmission while apparently on the run, suggesting she broke out specifically to finish implementing the cure she had worked toward. The theory speculates that while Grace physically saved both species, Stratt's role in ensuring the mission succeeded despite political opposition makes her equally heroic. Fans note the parallel between Grace choosing to save Rocky over returning to Earth, and Stratt choosing to escape prison to save Earth over her own freedom. Both characters sacrifice their futures for the mission, yet only Grace receives recognition as a hero. The theory suggests Stratt may have allies who helped her escape, possibly including scientists who understood her actions were necessary. Her presence at the frozen research station in the film's ending implies she has continued working on climate solutions while evading capture. This theory remains speculation, but it adds depth to a character whose fate the novel leaves completely unaddressed. The film's subtle tattoo detail suggests there's an entire story of sacrifice and determination that audiences never see. Beetle Communication. A fascinating theory suggests the Beetle's probe names contain a hidden message from Grace to Earth. In the novel, Grace names the 4 data probes after the Beatles members: John, Paul, George, and Ringo. The theory, originating from fan discussions, proposes this wasn't just a whimsical reference, but a coded signal about the mission's nature. The Beatles were famous for their message of love and cooperation transcending boundaries, which mirrors Grace's partnership with Rocky. Fans note that Grace could have chosen any naming scheme, yet specifically selected a band known for bringing people together during divided times. The theory suggests Grace wanted to emphasize that humanity's salvation came through interspecies cooperation, not human exceptionalism. Each probe carries identical information, similar to how the Beatles' message spread through multiple songs, all reinforcing the same themes of unity. Some fans theorize the specific order of the probes might encode additional meaning, with John representing leadership, Paul representing technical skill, George representing spiritual understanding, and Ringo representing the everyman who keeps everything together. Grace's choice to explain the Beatles to Rocky in the novel shows how deeply he values the band's cultural significance. When Stratt receives the probes in the film, she would immediately recognize the reference and understand Grace succeeded not alone, but through friendship. This theory remains unconfirmed, but it adds thematic weight to what might otherwise seem like a simple pop culture reference. The Beatles connection reinforces the story's central message about cooperation across vast differences. If you found this valuable, subscribe so you never miss new content. Thanks for watching.